Hello everyone, it's Tuesday evening. Ado here, adult adoptee. I've just sat down and read through the detail of the proposed redress scheme as announced today by Roderick O'Gorman. And earlier on when I read it, when I got home from work, I sat here and I had a little cry to myself. I was so disappointed. Not disappointed from a monetary aspect, although I will get into that, but disappointed that the minister and his advisors and the people in the department and the committee who were overseeing the redress scheme didn't listen. They simply didn't listen. And this is now being touted all over the news as the next greatest thing to happen in Ireland's deeply insidious history surrounding children, mothers and families. A system that I now work in as a professionally qualified social care worker. The one thing that joins us, or the thread that runs through all of us involved in the adoption or the history of adoption in Ireland, is the effect that adoption has had on us. Whether you were a mother, whether you were a child adopted from one of the institutions, or privately or illegally, whether you were a family of someone involved in it, you would all be aware that the issue that surrounds all of this is an issue of pain and trauma. Very few people have come through the system without feeling one or the other or both. There are adults now, adopted adults now, like me, in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, who are coping and coping well. And there are other adults out there who are devastated. The ameliorating factor in all of this was not by design, but by luck. You know, if you landed in a family who were fairly well put together and whose nurturing skills were strong, it may have dampened the effect of the trauma on you to some extent if you're an adult adoptee. For others, their life journey through the family that they were placed with has been really difficult. For most of the women who gave birth in these institutions, they were treated horrendously by society. They were treated horrendously by the church and the nuns. They were treated awfully by the government and continue to be treated that way. And for a lot of them, they were told to carry this secret all their lives, and that has caused a huge amount of damage to a huge amount of them. It's not by chance that adopted people are overrepresented in the suicide statistics, the mental health statistics, etc., etc. And then for the government to fanfare this, big redress scheme, to workshop it all, consultation days, bring in the professionals, pay them huge amounts of money, and have people tell them time and time and time again that the amount of time that someone spent in an institution should have no factor on whether they are eligible for redress or not. Because the thing that joined us all was the damage that it done to us, not the amount of time you spent in. The amount of time you spent inside the institution could only cause more damage. But the separation of mother and child is the factor that caused and causes and continues to cause the lifelong anxiety, trauma, and damage, pain. You call it whatever you want. So whether you spent a day inside that institution, a week, a month, 3 months, or 6 months, the damage was done for nearly all of us. And for the government to come out today and say that time spent inside the institution was going to be the factor, so that they could, with one fell swoop of a pen, deny a huge percentage of adult adoptees from any compensation, is not only a disgrace, but it's immoral. And the minister and the people who advise them and the government of the day should be ashamed of themselves. Adoption became illegal in Ireland in the early 1950s. And here we are now, nearly 70 years later. And we still can't get this right. And all we're doing at a governmental level is hurting people even further. I didn't expect to come home today to sit down and read what I read after working with lots and lots and lots and lots of other hundreds and hundreds of people to engage with the government over the last couple of years to try and guide the way this redress scheme would include everyone. But now I came home today and I'm broken. And I'm hurt. And I'm feeling rejected once more. And unless any of the minister's team or any of his advisors are have been involved in the adoption process, they won't understand what that means and what that feels like. So I would say, and I would ask everyone involved in the adoption world connected to Ireland tonight, I would ask you all, mothers, adopted children, adults, siblings, grandparents, wherever you sit within the adoption family, adoptive mothers and fathers, adoptive siblings, wherever you sit within all of that complex network of people who love and care for each other, to reject this redress scheme outright, to refuse to be engaged in it until everyone is engaged in it, because I think to do so otherwise is going to cause irreparable hurt going on into the future. I had to sit and do this tonight because it's the only thing that I can think of that's worth doing, other than going to bed and putting the pillow over my head and trying to blank it all out. Thanks.